All right, guys, I wasn't for sure if I was going to make a video about this right now, but I thought I better go ahead and do this while it's still fresh in my mind, and I want to get as much of the details to you as best I can. I want to tell you the tools I used, what helped me on this Glock, and it was worth its weight in gold. This title is not clickbait. Everything I'm about to tell you right now is 100% truth to the best of my ability on what just happened within the last 20 to 25 minutes. And I'm going to tell you with 100% certainty what you want to have on your firearm through this video. So this is what happened. I still feel really flush, and and you'll know if you ever go through something like this, in this type of situation. If you haven't, I'm going to give you some tips and some different things and let you know kind of what it feels like. I'm coming home from somewhere, and I have to take some of these small towns, and they're like 45-mile-per-hour roads. It's a 4-lane, but then it kind of drops down, and you go through other towns and little villages, and it drops to 2 lanes and whatnot. So I'm driving in the right lane. There's a left lane, then there's 2 lanes over there. So I got 2 lanes going this way, 2 lanes coming that way. As I top a hill, I am coming up behind a Buick Rendezvous that I suspect is driving approximately 35 to 37 miles per hour. I have my cruise control on 45, which is the speed limit. So, okay, as I get closer to this Buick Rendezvous, I put on my turn signal. I ease over with using my cruise control, and I go around the Buick Rendezvous. As my passenger side window passes the guy in the Rendezvous, in the second lane of traffic that's going that way, I wasn't passing on a 2-lane. There's 2 lanes of traffic going this way, nobody else on the road late at night. As I pass the car, I see the guy is flicking me off. Now, you can't even see in my truck. My windows are like blacked out with tint for when I have gear in here and stuff. So I see the guy's flicking me off, and I see like a flannel shirt, and I'm like, man, that was weird. I at no time hit any kind of high beams. I don't even have like HIDs. This is a 2010 truck. No, I'm sorry, it's a 2012 truck. I don't have any HIDs or anything like that, or, nothing like that. I didn't hit my high beams. I didn't do anything. I didn't speed around the guy. I had my cruise control on 40, pegged on 45, maybe 46, but right still almost on the needle there of 45. So I thought, man, that was kind of weird, This guy just flipped me off, and I have no idea why. It was like an older raggedy Rendezvous, like the back bumper was torn off and stuff, and they could see some metal underneath. So then I go ahead and go up further, and the guy gets behind me in this other lane, and then I just ease on back over. The guy comes up beside me and is going the same speed as me when I got my cruise control on, and there's a woman that's now flicking me off out of the passenger side window. And I'm like, man, this is getting weird here. I'm like, what is going on? I'm almost wanting to laugh. There's no road rage, no anger. I don't know what's going on. Am I being punked? What is going on here? Why are these people flipping me off dual-sided? Now, keep in mind, just remember too that my K9 signs on my truck. That might come into play later. What I do is I'm just getting out of this situation. I'm leaving it. This old Rendezvous, I got this, the Mustang motor in my truck, the 5.0. I just take it off cruise control, and I just punch the pedal. Whatever, hopefully, if there's a cop along here, he'll see me and pull out or whatever. So I just punch it, and this guy floors the Rendezvous and is getting behind me and following me now. Now he cut in behind me and is following me. And I don't know what's going on at this point. I'm getting ready to grab the phone because I'm thinking, you know what? I got to turn up here in a little while. And I'm like, I'm going to call, if anything happens. So I'm on this 2-lane road still. And as I slow to do my right-hand turn, this guy's been behind me for a while. And as I slow to do my right-hand turn, the guy comes around the left of me and again follows same speed as me on this side of me in that lane, okay? As I do my turn, this guy like stands on the brake and cuts in behind me. Now, where I turned to was a country type road with no shoulder. It did have yellow lines, but there was no shoulder on either side of the road. Very thin roadways, no shoulder at all. Like if you would just ease off, you would hit mailboxes with your side mirror. No shoulder. So when this guy turns in behind me, I get on the phone with 911. I call 911. I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. And I give them a little bit of information about myself. And I tell them that I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I didn't do anything to this guy. I never flipped him off back. I never bridled him. I never did anything but ease around him with my cruise control on at doing the speed limit. And she's like, okay. And I said, now this guy stopped in the middle of an intersection and is following me. And I know this guy is going to keep following me. I can feel it. I can feel it. And she's like, well, where are you at? You know, normally 911 can see where you're calling from. And where I was at, I didn't have the exact coordinates. These were like back side roads and stuff. And I'm trying to give her these little side street names. And I'm telling her these side street names, and I'm looking. Well, guess what this guy does? He comes up beside me to rendezvous, and I ease over because I literally think this guy's going to sideswipe my truck. And I'm like, I don't want my truck to get hit. So I ease over, to give this guy even more room. He's now driving in the oncoming lane of traffic on a 2-lane road, 2 lanes only, no shoulder. But there's no cars coming, thankfully. And then he gets beside me and is driving alongside of me on this 2-lane road where traffic could be coming the other way. So then he gives it the gas. I'm trying to tell the lady where the signs are, gives it the gas, gets in front of me, turns his vehicle sideways like this, like cockeyed like this on that no shoulder thin 2-lane road, slams it into drive and jumps out of the driver's side door. This guy's about 5'6", looks totally strung out on drugs, has a flannel shirt on, probably weighs about 170, 180 pounds, jumps out of his truck screaming and starts to approach from 50 feet or so up. This is what I did. I reached down and put my hand on my duty gun that was in the level 3 holster. I rolled this window down like I'm doing right now. Okay? And then I'm going to show you what I did. First, I want to tell you something. This Surefire was worth $1 million tonight. It was worth $1 million to me. As I drew my gun, I shoot left. The gun was on my left side. As I came up, as my gun approached the open window, I took my right thumb here. I clicked the paddle on. The gun was already loaded, chambered, and I took the gun straight out the window into his face. I immediately could see that this guy was disoriented. I could see that this guy was getting blinded. And this is when he started. He was saying, "You're a pig and you ain't about S. You're a pig, you ain't about S." And it just kind of hit my mind. I'm thinking, this guy's seen my canine stickers. So he must be angry. And the lady also jumped out. She looks strung out on drugs as could be. These aren't young people, guys. These aren't kids. This isn't like young kids or anything. These are middle-aged to getting into older people. And but looks totally strung out on drugs. The lady's hair is all over the place. So what happens is when I take it one-handed, I'm going to show you right now. Let me remove this camera and I'm going to show you what I did. So I really wanted to get this on video, guys. As I draw my gun upward, right as I get toward the edge of the window, I come in with my right hand, my offhand thumb, and I pull the lever down on this Surefire like that. And I come straight up and out of the window like this, above my mirror. Now, what had happened outside was, right prior to the part I just showed you of drawing the gun, turning on the Surefire, what happened was the guy slammed it into park, like where the vehicle like shook, jumped out of his door, like immediately, with no question whatsoever, like this guy's coming at me, is what I thought. There was no doubt in my mind this guy's coming at me. So it was that quick that I reached down with my left hand, grabbed my gun in my level 3, come up all in one motion, roll the gun toward the open window. The window's still rolling down. It's got auto windows. I thumb my offhand, right thumb. I thumb the Surefire light on. I go out the window, one armed right above my mirror. I screamed at this guy so loud. I know the house has heard me that we're over to the left. I'll talk about that in a second. But I screamed, "Stop immediately. I will shoot you if you approach me." And I could tell that this kind of shook him a little bit. And I could tell, too, that he was disoriented. And I could tell he was blinded by that. Look, this was a pretty dark area. And I got to give it up for Surefire. You want to know why? Because that Surefire was so bright. I remember seeing the guy's fingernails to see if he was reaching for something or grabbing something or had something in his hands. It was dark out, very minimal light, just light from the houses, no street lights. And I remember I could see the guy's fingernails. I could see the shine of his fingernails. I could see the buttons. He had on a flannel shirt. I could see those little buttons with the white swirls on them. I could see that. The guy was a car length away from me or so, maybe a little bit further than that, where he was standing. I could see that much detail with that Surefire. I knew this guy's hands were empty like that. I'm telling you, I will never run a duty gun or probably even an off-duty gun without a light on it. Now, this is real world stuff. And this is what I remember. I remember when you think that you might have to use your gun, it is a pretty traumatic experience, but you can handle it. And this is what I remember. As I came up, I looked at the guy's hands. I could see his hands were empty. I could see, like I said, the guy's fingernails. And I could see the buttons on his shirt. And I looked at the guy's eyes. And I could tell that he was disoriented and he couldn't see anything. With this bright light in that dark situation and his eyes already being accustomed to darkness from driving, I could tell this guy was pretty much being blinded by my light. And at this time, after I told the guy, basically, if you approach me, I'll shoot you, there's 2 things in Ohio that you need to know. Number 1 is your vehicle has castle doctrine that's extended from your home. You have the same protection in your vehicle as you do in your home. Like if to use force up to deadly force if it's needed. That castle doctrine got extended to the vehicle in 2008, I believe. Now, Ohio now has stand your ground. So if you want to say, why didn't I get out of my truck and run? Or why didn't I try to put my truck in reverse and go back up the hill and all that stuff while this is going on and this guy's coming at me and I don't know if he's got a gun, there's no duty to retreat in Ohio anymore. It's like a stand your ground law. But here's the thing. I didn't know what this guy had in his hands. You think I'm going to drive backwards in this F-150 with this windshield this big, thinking that this guy could possibly shoot me with something? Do you really think I was going to do that when I didn't know what was in his hands? I had to use that light for identification. It was the only way I could protect myself. Plus, he blocked me and impeded my movement. With the way he drove and the way he stood, I would have had to literally run him over and go off the edge by people's mailboxes to get around him. I made the right call. So, as I'm on the phone, the lady says, let me connect you with the Ohio State troopers. So she connects me with them. And I'm telling the guy some information about me. And I'm telling him, I just want you to know right now, I'm still holding this guy at gunpoint. This guy's standing out here. I said, they could hear him over the phone. I said, I got my gun drawn on this guy. My Glock 45, I got the Surefire light on it. I said, that's illuminating. I can see, what he's doing. I said, my finger's off the trigger. I said, but I got this guy at gunpoint, not holding him. I wasn't holding him anywhere, but I had the gun on him. The guy was free to go anywhere he wanted. He was free to get in that vehicle and leave. In fact, I wanted him to leave. So I said, I got my gun on this guy with the Surefire light on. I got my finger off the trigger, and I'm able to see everything, every move this guy's making. I don't know what he's trying to do to me. I didn't do nothing to this guy. I was going through this, telling the guy. I never did nothing. Never even flicked my brights at him, ever. Nothing. I literally did absolutely nothing. I don't care if people think I did or if you think I'm lying. I swear on anything there is that I did nothing to this guy. This was the most freakish thing I've ever had happen. I was like laughing when I seen this start out. Like when they were flicking me off, it was kind of making me chuckle. There was absolutely no road rage in me at all, because you would never ever, let me just not even branch off on that. So the state trooper is saying, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm starting to say a little bit more. I'm like, I was coming off of this such and such road, and I'm heading toward this such and such road, and it's by here, and here's a little side street. Then I remember, like, when I first drew the gun and was holding the guy, I remember somebody asked me if I got tunnel vision. I just talked to somebody before I made the video, my cousin. He said, did you get tunnel vision? I said, this is what I remember. I remember lighting this guy's hands up as I come up with the Surefire, seeing his hands are empty, moving the gun up more into my frame of view. I remember specifically seeing the front green sight illuminated in the darkness and having the gun right in the center portion of his chest right here. Like if you were going to shoot a target. I remember that. I still remember feeling the steel on the side of the gun with my finger up here, how high it was. I distinctly remember that. As this is all happening, I remember glancing off to, as this is all happening, the first thing I remember after that is glancing to the right and seeing that the lady had also jumped out of the vehicle to try to come get me or come after me. But she was closer to the vehicle. I really didn't consider the woman that much of a threat, but I did shine the light over at her and see that she had no weapons and no firearms. Then when I went back to him, I glanced off to the left and seen what was behind this guy and to the side where these houses were situated. I was in a good position where I was at, thankfully. I was in a good position with everything. The houses were off to the side. The guy was here. I was more kind of at an angle because my truck sits kind of high. And there was really nothing that I wouldn't have been like shooting a shot and it either goes through, or if it misses them, you're going straight into the living room window of a house. It would have been nothing like that. It would have been like in yards area and up to the side. There would have been no danger of that at all happening. So that was in the clear. So I immediately noticed my target and what was beyond it, if I had to have done that. Because at that time, I was thinking I was going to have to do this because I didn't know what he had, and this guy was definitely coming for me. So at this time, you'll know in your mind, you'll make that decision in your mind in that split second is, are you going to do this? And you know that once you're in it, if you have to, you want to make it home, and you want to survive, especially when you've done nothing wrong, nothing to ramp up the situation, nothing to cause the situation. Not only did I never flick the guy off, you can't even see me through these. I got limo tint on these windows. You can't even see me, and I ride with my windows up. I don't like the air blowing in. I use air conditioner. So not only did I not flick him off, it would have been impossible for him to see me in here. And I never put my windows down, except for when when he came out after me. That was in self-defense of myself. I never got out of my vehicle. The state trooper had asked me his license plate again. I told him the license plate number over and over. When I first called, the first thing I did was tell him the license plate number. First thing I did. And I told it a few more times, and then I told it to the state trooper. And he basically said, well, we'll send a car in the area. Wanted a little bit more information from me, which was fine. I don't expect that they'll do anything, and I'm not looking for them to do anything. Had this guy sideswipe me or try to damage my truck and did something, then they could go get him and go to his house. That's fine. But as of right now, he did impede my traffic. He did stop me from movement, but I wouldn't say it rises to the level of kidnapping. And because I had this worked tonight. This worked. Who knows what can happen? Who knows? You don't know. God, number one, and this saved the day. I am definitely going to be sending some prayers for this one. I am definitely going to be sending some prayers up for God being with me on this one. Because when I rolled that window down and I drew this gun and I put it out that window with the light on, I was prepared right then and there in my mind that I will do this right now. If this happens, it's got to happen. If this guy makes it happen, this guy can immediately turn and leave, turn and go, drop to the ground, whatever, roll, turn, and I'll never even get close to pulling that trigger. But if this guy comes at me or has a weapon and I'm in fear of my life, I'm gonna be making it home tonight. So after I'm talking to the state trooper for a while, And this guy's just steadily going, you're a pig, you're a pig, you're a pig, you ain't about, you're a pig, you ain't about. He just keeps repeating that. I don't understand it. Spitting on the ground. Definitely hardcore drug users. At this point, I can see now the guy is just doing this. He's not about coming any closer. So this is what I did. Dude, just go. The cops are on their way. Just go. I can't remember what he was saying something like, I'm not scared of cops. I'm not scared of cops. F the pigs. I'm not scared of cops. And I'm like, dude, just go. And I thought I heard somebody from one of the houses yell outside because this was so loud. I was at the top I almost lost my voice, and I can speak loud. So one of the people in the house has heard. I wish there was Ring doorbell footage I could get of this. And I didn't have a dash cam. I never put when I got this truck, I never put a dash cam in. I usually use my GoPro. So at this point of me talking to the guy, and now from this point, I was trying to more ramp it down, okay? Since this guy now wasn't walking toward me, my gun was still trained on him with the Surefire light. Now I'm like this. It's almost like I'm helping the guy. Dude, just go. The cops are on their way, even though they weren't really on their way. The cops are on their way. Just go. F the pigs. I don't care about no pigs. I ain't scared of pigs. You're a pig. And I'm going, just go. Just go. You know, that's all I'm saying. Just go. Just go. I want out of this situation. That's all I want. I want it to end without anything more going down. All of a sudden, I don't know why. And I was calling out his license plate number again and again, so he knew I was calling it in. Like, you know, I kept saying it and saying it. All of a sudden, they just walk right back in the vehicle and take off on this little side street gone. So, key points and takeaways. This Surefire light was worth its weight in gold. You talk about real world scenario, identifying a target, and is there a danger from your target? I couldn't have asked for anything better. There is nothing, I believe, that I could have asked for any better than this Surefire light. This guy was lit up like the sunshine. I could see his hands. I could see every movement he did. I could see if I could see if he'd have had a comb in his hand, a phone, anything. And it was so needed. So needed. This Surefire was worth every penny I ever paid for it. And the night sights on the gun. As I came up, darkness. Now remember, darkness is on my side. Even though he's being lit up like the sun, always remember that behind the light is still darkness. And I distinctly remember seeing the green sight. And I was just like this. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't shaking. I was steady right on this guy. This gun was right on his upper chest, right in the chest area. I was just holding it just like this. This is how I was holding it when I was talking to him. And, you know, when I realized he wasn't going to come up there and do anything, then I started trying to talk him down and get him to go. You know, I wasn't going to go out there and shake the guy's hand. But when I'm saying, dude, just go. The cops are on their way. Just go. You can go. Just go. You know, that's saying a little something. You know, that's being more than nice to this guy with what he was doing. You know, that's what I was saying to him. But the thing is this is crazy, you know. This is, you know, you just never know when something's going to happen. I was working up in I don't want to say where I was at, but I was working somewhere where the crime rate is really, really, really high, loaded for bear, body armor, 3 guns, and I never had anything like this happen. And here I'm in a little small towns I'm going through, and, you know, late at night where there's very little population, probably lower crime rates, and then this happens. You just never know what's going to happen. You just never know what's going to happen and where it's going to be. That whole situation, I gotta say this because I can't stress this enough. That whole situation would have been a completely different situation had it not been for this light. This light was as important to me as this firearm was tonight. Now, don't get me wrong. If I didn't have the light and still had the firearm, I could have covered my back and you know, and remedied the situation. But I got to tell you, as far as tools that I was relying on, This light was as important as this gun to me tonight. And it was as useful as this gun tonight. And I know I could see this guy was disoriented and blinded, number one, which helped a lot. Helped a lot. He'd have been walking into a beam of sunshine. He would have been walking up on me totally blind, rather than just looking at the muzzle of a gun. It helped so much. And me to see that he didn't have a gun or an axe or anything else when he came out charging at me. I didn't know what he has. I'm not going to be looking down at my steering column, putting it in reverse. Then this guy comes up with some kind of gun, and I got this huge, big screen TV windshield in front of me in this Ford F-150. No, it's not happening like that. There's no duty to retreat. I got to take care of my safety and myself first. You just never know where it's going to happen. And the thing is the reason it bothers so bad, like when I was working in a very bad area and I'm body armored up, looks like I'm going to Afghanistan, and this and that and extra magazines and everything and pepper spray. I'm prepared going into things, ready for it to go down. But when some guy drives in front of you and blocks the road and slams it into gear and gets out at you, you're not prepared. I didn't have body armor on. I was not prepared. I didn't have pepper spray on right at hand with me. I didn't know what was going to happen. It's a whole different animal than when I'm going into something prepared as to when I'm not prepared and ready for it. That's about all I can say. But I can tell you this. You can keep a steady arm on somebody. Don't ever think that you can't. And these tools that we use on these, the sights and that light, they sure do come in handy. Well, that's it for now, guys. I hope I covered all the details. Basically, if I didn't tell you the ending of it, the state troopers were going to send somebody out to look around. Nothing's going to go further on with this guy. I don't care. They probably don't want to charge this guy with anything. He could get a little ticket or whatever, something probably for impeding my path and blocking me on the road. I don't care about that. So they're not going to this guy's residence from the license plate or anything like that. And he's definitely not going to call the blank pigs, of course, and say what happened. But it doesn't matter if he does call in. But this guy would be the last guy to probably ever call in. All's well and ends well. Thank God. And thank this Glock and this Surefire and these night sights. Until next time, guys, be safe out there, man. Try to avoid the situation, but sometimes you just can't. Sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes situation and circumstances lead to things that you can't control. When I'm looking at sign names, and I give just a bit of a when I'm looking at sign names and stop worrying about this guy and look at a sign name to tell this lady, and he comes around me and blocks my way on the street, you might not think that can happen, but it can happen. And it can happen very quickly. The right tool for the job is what you need. This Surefire could have saved that guy's life tonight. It really could have. You just don't know how things are going to go. All right, guys, until next time, talk to you real soon. This is DOF, and I'm out.